just put up my front page of my website so you see. Okay, so hopefully you see the front page of my website now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. After I wasted 7 minutes uh, being dysfunctionally technological. Hi. I hope. Thanks for joining us, by the way, and thank you, David, for inviting me again. It's always a pleasure to do these webinars and interact with people and to see what everybody's interested in. Just to give you a thumbnail of who I am, that's me on the screen, and I run a website. I'm the editor, and we've been doing this for like 23 years, and it's called mptrader.com. And what I do is click on the room, and I'll go down to the beginning of today. It's a diary. It runs all day long. This was my first update today. Good morning, MP traders. And I usually start off with something that I think is really interesting. This was a seasonal setup, and how it interacted with the E-mini futures. This is a 15-minute. This is a daily. This is the S with a spider on a daily. This is the weekly QQQ, and I integrated all three and made my comments. And then I launch into answering questions from people. Someone asked for AMD yesterday. Someone wanted EWW, Amazon, iBit, oil, nat gas, MP Materials or Materials Corp, and so on and so on, all day long. And it's a running diary of interaction with subscribers as well as my own perceptions. And there you go. So that's me. It's mptrader.com. If you want to join us, we'd be happy to have you. And there's some great conversations, discussions, and idea sharing. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, the marketing side is done. I'll go over to my charting. I use TradeStation. I've been using it for years. Do you see it? Because I have this screen sharing paused. David, are you still there? Do you see my?
Yeah, I'm still seeing your website.
I have this screen sharing. Screen sharing is paused. Could you undo
Something
that?
you must be
Okay.
hitting something that's causing that. I can't imagine what, but
Well, so now I'm going in. I'm clicking on the little icon for TradeStation, and then I hit share, and
yeah.
it comes up by itself. The screen sharing is paused.
Well, okay, then there's something that you can hit to unpause it. There's some button somewhere that says unpause share or
Well, I have to stop share. It says resume share.
yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
I hit that. Off of it. On share. Share. I don't know. The only way it worked is when you turned it off from your end.
Okay, I turned it off again.
Okay. So now I'm going to go there. Share. I still get that pause button. Pause banner. So I don't know. I'm going to stop share. Back to share. On TradeStation. Won't load.
Th- There's nothing that says unpause or resume. I mean, if it's paused, then there should be something where you can unpause it.
Well, so the banner says your screen sharing is paused, and then next to it, it says stop share. underneath it says resume share. And when I click,
Yeah.
nothing. Share. You see if I can go back to my website.
Okay.
Now it's doing my website. So you can see that now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So now I'm going to go back to TradeStation and hit share, and it pauses when I hit TradeStation. All right. You unlock it one more time. All right.
Maybe
So now,
Trade Station has maybe something in Trade Station is blocking you from being able to share.
yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna. It did work a couple of times, so I'm just hope it works. Oh, God, it's still not working. Why did it work before?
Uh, I don't know.
So, oh, second, what just happened? Are you there?
Oh, yeah.
So, do you see my website?
No, it's off again.
So, do you see TradeStation?
No, it's the share is completely off.
Yeah, I don't. So let's see. Let's go back into Zoom. Screen share. Let's try this one. There it is.
Okay, now I see it.
All right. Okay, so all right, let's get going here. Okay, terrific. All right, let's go over to the metals right away. Precious metals and miners. Let's hope this loads quickly. Okay, might as well start off with the dollar. You do see the dollar, David?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, we're in business, hopefully. All right, so this is my weekly dollar index chart. It goes back to like 2005, as it says. And in May of 2011, well, actually in 2008, you started a massive series of higher lows and higher highs. And that the most recent high was in September of 2022. And since then, the dollar index put in a massive distribution top. And this past week or so, after the tariff announcement, as you can see, like my charts are highly annotated. I do this by hand, and it's a labor of love, but I think it's interesting for everyone to see what events were occurring around the price action. And so we had inauguration day up here, and you had the Trump tariff announcement here, so forth and so on. So you haven't broken the dominant multi-year, multi-decade trend, but we're trying to get there. And so we start to spend most of the time below 99 and a half, and my next target would be 96 and change. And that would be a full-fledged test of this trend line or massive support line. Now, from the top itself, I can get a measured move down to 88, and that would be over. Probably would take 2 years for that to happen, but uh, we're getting inklings, and I'm sure you've thought about this. We're getting inklings that this administration wouldn't mind having a weak dollar. It hasn't had a weak dollar. It hasn't minded one yet. And while every administration pays lip service to uh, a strong dollar, I think this administration is the great disruptor of the status quo. And the status quo is a strong dollar, and it doesn't want one because it is to its benefit and enables the administration to achieve its goals to have a weak dollar while it's trying to bang out these new tariff deals. Okay, so that is a background, and the dollar. Oops, that's and the dollar as this is a daily chart of what we just looked at, massive top. So the dollar under pressure and the precious metals complex is doing just the opposite, as you might imagine. This may be a perfect storm for the metals and the miners. And right now, I am partial to the miners because they're just breaking out. This is a daily chart going back to the pandemic of the gold miners. Okay, and to me, it just broke out. This when the GDX got banged a bit last week into the tariff news, it tested support and it ricocheted up, and it's doing what you'd expect. And here's the Golden Cross. Not that I think they're all that effective. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But in this particular case, you have both the 50 and the 100-day moving averages accented or sloping up when it crossed. And that is a big difference. If they're at different slopes and they cross, it has a whole different connotation of strength than if they cross while they're sloping up. Much more bullish. Okay, so that's GDX. And GDX, my next target is up here, which is, for all intent and purposes, has been met already. But this massive accumulation started in August of 2020, so it's almost 5 years. And it has a long way to go on the upside, notwithstanding probably some volatility in there as well. But to my mind, I think that the miners will be one of the only bullish games in town as time progresses. And the reason for that is they have assets in the ground, and those assets are going to be more valuable. And we just don't know what this administration has in mind for the international monetary system. It seems to me that we could, on one end of the spectrum, we could have on the far end of the spectrum, we could have a situation where the dollar implodes, where this administration needs to defend the bond market, i.e., buying bonds to monetize the debt to prevent perhaps China and whoever else China is on China's team. If there is no tariff agreement, they're going to sell the bond market to combat the Trump administration's plans. And if that happens, Fed's going to come in and buy bonds. And if that's the case, the dollar's going to collapse even more, in which case the miners, I think, will go vertical. Now, by vertical, I'll give you an example of vertical. So here's wheat and precious metals. And, this is a parabolic. Someone on MP Trader today asked me where it could go. Well, at this point, I don't know where it could go. I have a 92, 95 target on it, but as long as it stays above, the only thing I can say is that I would be long. I would be taking some profits up here if I was long. I'd have a stop at 76.60, and that's the only thing I know is where to protect myself. And to the extent that there's smooth trading, orderly trading rather than disorderly trading, which is where we're headed in the metals, disorderly trading at some point, I think, because the dollar could unwind in a disorderly way. And the next thing you know, the central banks have to decide if they're going to defend their currencies against the dollar. And the Fed, who knows what the Fed will do in that case, but that's when it becomes disorderly. In any case, this is a parabolic move in wheat and precious metals, and I think there's a lot more to go. The only way to protect yourself is to have a stop and to protect your downside. All right, GLD. Let me find my longest term GLD chart. GLD monthly. Let's see if the last time I updated it was. Okay, GLD monthly. But I had updated this. I must have done gold futures. Well, anyway, this is turning into a parabolic. I would tell you that, underneath these lows, 271, 266 in GLD is the first real warning sign. As long as that holds, similar to 7660 in precious metals, this could be parabolic. It's already starting its parabolic, and it could go vertical. Now, parabolic has two sides, but who knows where it could be. I think we're so close to 300. We're going to 300. I think 320, 330 is not out of the question here. Okay, so that's GLD and GDX. PLTR, Palantir. Okay. My apologies, but there it is. Okay, there you go. Come on. All right, let's see if this can load fast for us. She's asking a lot. Whenever I do these webinars with David, whenever I have to load a page, it's my heart starts racing to see if we can load it. David, how much would I have? A couple of minutes?
Yeah, about 4 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay.
So let's hope this loads within the next minute so I can spend 3 minutes. There's a headline that's coming up where Trump's talking about tariffs. He says, we may want countries to choose between us or China. Well, okay, so there is the crux of everything. There's two camps. China's trying to round up Vietnam and other places, and so are we. And to the extent Trump thinks he can corral the cats, hurt the cats, the U.S. will have leverage. If he can't, we won't. All right, Palantir. Here we go. So Palantir is right at a near-term breakout point. This is my 4-hour chart. It goes back to May. And if Palantir can sustain above like 99 and a quarter, the prior high was 99.17. Today's high was 98.99. Sustains above here. I think Palantir is going up here to the 120 to 125 to retest the high. Now, if I have a couple of minutes, I can go to Palantir Daily, and let's get a bigger perspective. Okay, so here's Palantir from a daily perspective, going all the way back. And so we can make a case that this is a completed correction. and it was in fact 48% it dropped. So it certainly, in terms of magnitude, it looks like something ended down here. However, wouldn't surprise me if Palantir got to 120, and then we ended up in a big range between, let's say, 120, 122, and give or take, let's say 80, 85 for a while before Palantir took off to the upside. Now earnings are May 6th, so uh, we have 3 weeks. In any case, a sustained move above 99 and change, I think the next up leg or the next phase of this recovery rally, I'll call it a recovery rally, and to 100, 100 to 120, and then I think that it will need a major rest again, and Palantir likely will end up in some sort of range bound price action, and it will be a great trading range action. One last thing, to me, see if this loads real quick. Okay, so to me, here's the June E-mini on a weekly basis. Okay, so to me, this major top led to this breakdown, and the resistance is, I don't know, 58.20, 58.30, somewhere in there. That's about as high as this can go, I think, before we get another down leg. Now, I'm not done. I'm not sure that this is done yet on the downside, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt to one more up leg within the recovery rally, and then I think the proverbial stuff is going to hit the fan for some reason, and there are plenty of reasons that it could, given the volatility of that this administration is creating. Great for trading, but you need eyes in the back of your head. Certainly, I think we're in a hit and run market. That is, make your bet, put in a stop, and you take 2-3% and you go home and go to the next trade. So anyway, David, sorry I spent so much time fiddling around with my system here. It will improve, but thanks for inviting me, and I appreciate it.